Good evening to everybody. The topic that we were discussing yesterday, that was measures taken by the Government of India to address the social sector issues as a part of its poverty reduction strategy. So, in yesterday's discussion, we discussed that as far as the strategy of the Government of India to address the social sector is concerned, it is a three-pronged strategy. One is the broad targeting, second is the narrow targeting, and third is the social security. Right. So yesterday we started our discussion on the broad targeting, and in that we discussed the two important schemes introduced by the government. Those two important schemes that the Government of India has introduced there, that is the, which we discussed yesterday, that is the Indira Awas Yojana, which is now known as Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. And the second is, we can say, the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. These two things we discussed yesterday, right? And today we will discuss another program under the broad targeting measures taken by the Government of India. That another program which we are going to discuss today, that is the midday meal scheme. So that program is known as the MDMS, which is called the midday meal scheme. Midday meal scheme. Yes. Okay. So yesterday we started our discussion on this, and I told you that India is a signatory to the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Right? So yesterday I told you one thing, that India is a signatory to the Convention on Rights of Child. Convention on Rights of Child. And in that particular convention, India, you can say, committed yielding the adequate nutritional food for children of the country. Right? So, India, so I mean to say that in this convention, India admitted yielding adequate nutrition right, for children of the country, right? So in that background, in our country, in 1995, a program was started under the name of National Program of Nutritional Security, National Program of Nutritional Security 2. primary education. National Program of Nutritional Security to Primary Education. Right, so that was the program which was a nutritional support, nutritional support to primary education. So that was the program which was launched by the government of India in the year, you can say, 1995, right? So NPSE, National Program of Nutritional Support to Primary Education in the country, right? And that was the beginning. And later on, slowly, uh, we entered into the midday meal scheme program, right? And as far as the midday meal scheme program is concerned, right? So midday meal scheme today is the world's largest nutritional program for the children of a country, right? So under this midday meal scheme program, right? So there are, you can say, cooked midday meal is provided to the children, right, of the primary and the upper primary level, right, in their schools, right? So that is the basic thing in that, right? So let me tell you that what is the purpose of the midday meal scheme. First of all, let me talk on the purpose of a midday meal scheme, right? Midday meal scheme, what is the purpose of the midday meal scheme? So as far as the purpose of the midday meal scheme is concerned, the first and the primary or the basic purpose of the midday meal scheme is to provide better nutrition, right? To provide or to ensure, we can say, better nutrition, right? To ensure better nutrition, right? Or a nutritional standard, we can say, right? Nutritional standard of school age children nationwide, right? School age children nationwide, right? Means what is there? So the purpose of this program is to improve the nutritional standard of the school age children all over the country. Nationwide means all over the country, right? So what is there in this program, right? What we do to improve the nutritional standard of the school age children nationwide, right? So what we do is the government provides a free lunch for children in primary and upper primary classes, right? So what is there? The government provides free lunch in primary and upper primary classes, right? And upper primary classes in in the following schools, right? In the following categories of schools, we can say. What are the various categories of schools where the midday meal scheme is, you can say, implemented by the government, or which are covered under the midday meal scheme of the government? So the schools are, one is the, we can say, the government schools. One is that. Second is, we can say, the government aided schools. Okay, that is the second point, the government aided schools. And the third is, we can say, the schools under schools under educational guarantee scheme, right? Schools under educational guarantee scheme, that is there also, right? And the fourth category of schools, that is the alternative innovative centers, right? So we can say alternative innovation centers, right? Alternative innovation centers, that is also there. Okay, and then there is the madrasas, and then there is, we can say, right, maktabs. Okay, maktabs. Okay, so that is there basically. right? These are the basic institutions where these things are provided, right? So madrasas and maktabs, right? So which are sponsored under the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, right? So it means those madrasas and maktabs will be covered in the scheme, right? So which are being supported under the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, right? So this point is important, right? Supported under the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. So that is the important point we can say here. Okay. So this is there. That is an important thing. Okay. So this is the point here, right? And next, there are also the right. There is also which one more thing which is covered into the scheme, that is we can say uh, the nutritional child labor project, right? Nutritional child labor projects, right? Child labor projects which are run by the ministry, okay, which are run by the Ministry of Labor. So those projects are also covered under this scheme, right? So which are run by this, okay. So this is there. Uh, this is an important point here, right? So sorry, here I have to write the upper primary, right? So that is the point, right? Upper primary classes in the following, right? So this is there, right? It is the world's largest program which is being run by the government to provide the nutritional support to the children of the country, we can say, right? So first of all, right, before entering further into this program, right, so I would like to discuss with you, right, the timeline of right, the timeline of nutritional support programs, right, to children in India, to school going children in India, right? So this is the basic thing which I would like to discuss with you, right? So as far as this timeline is concerned, right, so let me discuss with you first of all, right? So first of all, in the year we can say 1925, right? In the year 1925, this is the first important point, right? 1925. So what happened there in 1925, I would like to tell you, right? So midday meal program was introduced, in we can say, right, Madras, okay, in Madras by the British administration, right? By the British administration. So this is the important point here, that the first example of the midday meal program in the country, right, is found in the pre-independence India, that was in the that Madras province, we can say, or the Madras presidency, or the Madras city, right, we can say, right, by the British administration in 1925, it was introduced, right? So then after that in 1930, right, it was introduced by the French administration in the Puducherry, right? So in 1930, it was introduced by the French administration in the Puducherry, right? So French administration introduced it in Puducherry, So that is the next point. Okay. So, and after that, after the independence of the country, right? So in 1960s, right? After the independence of the country in 1960s, right? So in 1960s, it was introduced in the Tamil Nadu. So we can say Tamil Nadu is the first state of independent India where the nutritional support program for the school going children was introduced, right? So now which is there introduced in Tamil Nadu. Okay, so Tamil Nadu, right? So we can say, yeah, okay, if UPSC asks you the question that in which of the following states, right? In which of the following, right? So states or union territories of India, the first nutritional support program for school going children, nutritional support program for school going children was launched, okay, or was introduced. Anything can be there. It can be was launched or it can be was introduced, right? So anything can be there, right? So where it was introduced, so such type of question can be asked. This is an important question, particularly for the state PCS examinations, we can say, right? And the first option can be Puducherry. Okay, first option can be Puducherry, and the second option can be Gujarat, right? Third option can be Tamil Nadu. Okay, can be Tamil Nadu, and the fourth option can be Punjab, right? So in which of the following states? It was Tamil Nadu, obviously, which I have told you just right now, right? So after that, the second program or the second nutritional support program, right, for the school going children was introduced by the state of Gujarat in 1964, right? So second nutritional support program for the school going children was introduced by the state of Gujarat, sorry, in 1984, right? In 1984. So it was introduced in the state of Gujarat, right? So Gujarat introduced this program. It's important here, right? And the next we can say that in the same year, right, in 1984 only, right after Gujarat, this program was introduced by the Kerala also, right? So this program was introduced by the Kerala also in the same year, right? So this is an important, you can say, timeline or the chronology in this respect, we can say, right? And you must have bear this into mind. And then, as I have told you earlier also in the beginning of the today's lecture, right? Then in the year 1995, right? So then in the year 1995, right? So in the year 1995, right? So the government of India introduced a nutritional support program for school going children, right? Government of India introduced its introduced its program, which is known as NP, National Program, right, for nutritional support, right, for primary education. NP and SPE program was launched by the government of India then in 1995, right? So this is the brief timeline, right? We can see. Okay, so here three questions are important, right? One question is that in India, which among the following was the first nutritional support program introduced by the government, right, for the school going children or for the school age children? That can also be written there, right? So if it is asked in that way, then it is obviously the Madras, right, which was introduced by the, we can say, British administration, right there. And if it is asked that in which state or union territory of India the first nutritional support program, right, was introduced by the government, right, in the post-independent India. So then it is obviously Tamil Nadu, which introduced it in 1960s, right? And after Tamil Nadu, it is Gujarat. After Gujarat, it is Kerala, right? And then you can say, if it is asked that what is the name of the first what is the name of the first nutritional support program introduced by the government, okay, for improving the nutritional standard of the school going children of the primary level, right, of primary education, right? So obviously the name of that program is this NPNSPE. So please bear these three questions in mind, which are important from your examination point of view, right? So any of these questions can be asked, right, in, you can say, any examination, because this is an important intervention by the government to improve the nutritional security, or to improve the nutritional standard, right, of the school going children in our country. Okay, so this is there, right? So after that, one more important, you can say, milestone in this midday meal scheme program, we can say, right? So that is an a PIL, public interest litigation, right? PIL means a interest litigation. So that is an important thing, right? A public interest litigation was brought into the Supreme Court, right? Was brought into the Supreme Court by the we can say PUCL, right? The full form of the PUCL is a People's Union People's Union for Civil Liberties, right? People's Union for Civil Liberties. That is the name of the that is the full form of the PUCL, right? So in this, right? So this public interest litigation was brought by the PUCL into the Supreme Court, right? What was the main argument of the or from the side of the PUCL before the Supreme Court? Right, that was that you can say the excess, right, the excess food stored with the FCI, right, excess food stored with the FCI should be, right, should be fed to the hungry people, right, should be fed to the hungry in India, right, including the midday meal program or midday meal scheme, right? Including the midday meals, we can say, in, right, in the primary schools. Okay, in the primary schools, right? So please bear this in mind, that what was the main, you can say, right, content, or what was the main subject of this you can say public interest litigation introduced by the People's Union for Civil Liberties before the Supreme Court. The main contention, or the main you can say submission of that People's Union for Civil Liberties before the Supreme Court was that there is a excess stock with the Food Corporation of India, right? And that excess stock goes waste, right? Because that is not utilized properly. So it is better that that excess stock, right, should be distributed among the hungry people in India, right? And including the midday meal, right, for the purpose of the midday meal in the primary schools of the country, right? Because we are having the world's largest number of wasted children. We are having the world's largest number of, you can say, that stunted children, right? And we have the world's largest number of the underweight children as well. So that is why, right? So this was, you can say, brought before the Supreme Court by the PUCL, right? So now, in the context of this public interest litigation, right? So what was the ruling of the Supreme Court, or what did the Supreme Court say at that time, right? So Supreme Court issued an interim order, right? Supreme Court issued an interim order saying that, right, an interim or order saying that every child, right, every child in every place, right, in every place, and government assisted, right, in every place and government assisted, we can say, primary schools, in government assisted primary schools should be given government assisted primary schools should be given or should be served, we can say it's better to write served here, should be served with a prepared means cooked, right? So should be served with a prepared midday meal, right? Prepared midday meal with with minimum content of, right? With minimum content of, what is that minimum content, right? So we can write here, number one, there is a 300 calories, right? 300 calories, that should be the minimum content. And number two, 8 to 12 grams of protein, right? 8 to 12 grams of protein, right? So every child should be served such type of food, right? So of proteins, right? That is there, right? Each day of school for a minimum of, further it was said that each day of school, right? For a minimum of school, for a minimum of 200 days in a year, for a minimum of 200 days a day. So this was the interim order of the Supreme Court. So that means we can say that even the highest court, means the apex court of the Supreme Court of India, also favored the midday meal program, right? In its interim order, right? So this was there. Yes, uncooked food was also there, right? So we can mention it here, right? So what was the Supreme Court's response in this case, right? Supreme Court's response was 300 calories of the 300 calories per child and 8 to 12 grams of proteins, right, per child for each day of school, right, for a minimum of 200 days in a year. So this was there, right? So that means this program was supported by the Supreme Court of the country as well, right? So this was there in response to that, right? So now the next important thing is that we can say that today, right? Today the midday meal scheme is covered by, right? Today the midday meal scheme is covered under the National Food Security Act of 2013, right? So it is covered under the National Food Security Act of 2013. So it is covered under that today, right? So now what is the next important thing in this, right? What is the next important thing in this? That is the, we can say, the funding pattern of the midday meal program, right? So now the next important thing is that is the funding pattern of the midday meal program, right? Funding pattern of a midday meal scheme, right? Or midday meal program. So what is the funding pattern in this case, right? So as far as the funding pattern is concerned, because the funds remain the biggest issue in implementation of such type of schemes, because India is a, you can say, not a developed country, right? So we are lacking the adequate resources also for such type of schemes, right? But still we are doing it, right? So I'm showing you the previous slide. So please check the previous slide, right? So you can check it now. Okay. So this is the, so I hope you must have done with it. Okay, is it done? Okay, so now I am moving on. Okay, so funding pattern of the midday meal scheme program, right? So it means the expenditure of the midday meal scheme, okay, the expenditure of the midday meal scheme is borne by, right, is borne by the center and the state, okay, center and the state. So what is the funding ratio, right? So let me tell you, right? So this is the one point as far as the funding ratio is concerned. On the one hand there is center, and on the other hand there is the state. Okay, so at two levels of the government, the expenditure of the scheme is shared in this way, right? Center shares 60% expenditure of the scheme, while the state shares 40% expenditure of the scheme, right? So center and state share the expenditure of the scheme in 60-40 ratio, right? 60-40 ratio. So what is the responsibility of the center? So basically, with this amount of expenditure, right? So center bears the, right, with this amount of expenditure, we can say, right, center bears the cost of food grains of and food, right? Cost of food grains and food for this purpose. Okay, cost of food grains of or food, right? And the responsibility of the state is to bear the transportation cost. Okay, responsibility of the state is to bear the transportation cost, right? Labor, labor, and other facilities, right? Whatever may be related with this, and the other facilities, right? So this is basically the main thing, right? So it means we can say that midday meal scheme is a centrally sponsored scheme, right? So we can say that midday meal scheme is a centrally sponsored scheme, right? Centrally sponsored scheme, right? And you know that education is a subject in the concurrent list according to the seventh schedule of the constitution of the country, right? So we can say that education, okay, is a subject in the concurrent list. Okay, education is a subject in the concurrent list, so you know that also, right? So these are the important things which can be asked in the examination, we can say, right? So now the next important thing is that there are right, so you can note it down. Okay, so then I will move ahead. Okay, so now the next point is that as far as this is concerned, because there are two implementation models of the MDMS, two implementation models of the midday meal scheme program, right? Midday meal scheme. The one implementation model and the second implementation model. The first implementation model is the decentralized model. Okay, the first model is the decentralized model. Okay, and the second model which is there, that is the centralized model, right? Centralized model of MDMS implementation, right? So as far as the decentralized model of midday meal scheme program is concerned, under this model, right, what is there? The on-site cooking of the food is done, right? What is there? On-site, okay, cooking of the food, on-site cooking of food. This is the one thing, right? So who cooks the food? By the local, right? By the local, we can say, right? By the local cooks, cooks and helpers, right? Local cooks and helpers of the self-help groups, right? Local cooks and helpers of the self-help groups. So one model is that, right? So their support can also be taken here, right? It means there are so many self-help groups, right, in the country, so they can come forward to serve the cooked meal to the children in the school, and they can go for the decentralized cooking of the meals also, right? So there are two, three models because it depends on the state, because the cost of the cooking is to be borne by the state, right? So if there are the NGOs that are that that are coming forward to, you can say, serve this purpose, right, then the government need not to pay for that, right? But if the government hires some cook, right, or some helper, then obviously they must have to be paid under the scheme, right? So that is there. Okay, so now the next thing is that centralized model, right? So as far as the centralized model is concerned, what is there? There is the external cooking, right? Not the on-site cooking, right? So it means some external organization, right, cooks the food and serves to the children at their school, right? And serves to the children at their school, right? Serves to the children at their schools, right? Serves to the children at their schools, right? So that is there, right? And now what is there? So this requires, so this is done under the public-private partnership model, right? So this is done under the public-private partnership model, right? It means what is there? The governments, yes, the government, right, engages some private party, right, as a contractor, right? They are responsible for cooking the meal, the cooking the food, and the delivery of that cooked food to the children, right? So this is a, we can say, contract program, right? We can say like that. This is a contract program. So these are the two models, decentralized models and the centralized models, right? The government, you can say, the first model which was introduced, that was the decentralized model. Centralized model was introduced later on because there were many instances of the accidents in the schools, right, while cooking the food, right? So like you can say, fire cases were reported there, right? And there was a case in some, you can say, I think Maharashtra or some southern state, there was such type of incident that a a girl, right, uh, you can say, right, fell into the cooking vessel, right, and she died, right? So such type of accidents were noted at various places, right? So that is why the government, right, so tried to shift on the centralized model, right? So which is a public-private partnership model, we can say, right? So this is the point. So now, apart from that, right? So apart from that, because there is the because the funds are involved in this, right, and states and the governments uh, are lacking the financial resources, right? So that is why a number of right, so other, we can say, right, innovative measures have been introduced by the states to strengthen the midday meal scheme program, right? So many other, right, so many other innovations have been, right, many other innovations have been introduced by the government, right, by the state governments to strengthen, okay, to strengthen the midday meal scheme, right, to strengthen the midday meal scheme, right? So you can say one scheme which is worth discussion over here, right? So that is, we can say, the, that is the Tithi Bhojan scheme, right? Tithi Bhojan, right? So this Tithi Bhojan scheme was conceptualized by the government of Gujarat, right? So this Tithi Bhojan scheme was introduced in Gujarat, okay, introduced in Gujarat, right? So what is according to this scheme, right? So this scheme is to ensure the, right, community participation into the midday meal scheme, right? So what is the purpose? One is to strengthen the midday scheme program, right? So to strengthen the midday meal scheme, right? And second is to ensure the, or to develop the community participation into the program, okay? To develop the community participation into it. into the program. Okay, so this is an important thing, community participation into the event, right, into this program. So according to this Tithi Bhojan scheme, what is there, right? So the families, right, are motivated to celebrate the important events uh, in the families, like the birth of a child, right, success in examination of some child, right, some other big achievement by the family, right, means usually we enjoy the happy moments, right, usually we celebrate the happy moments in our families, like the construction of a new house, right, achievement, extraordinary achievement by some member of the family, birth of a child, etc., etc. So these movements are okay, so celebrated, right? So the Gujarat government has, you can say, right, uh, introduced, has motivated the, right, the Gujarat government took initiative to motivate the families in the villages, right, to voluntarily serve the food on those days, right, to the school going children, right? So let's suppose there is the birth of a child in some family, right? The government said that, right? So go to the schools, right? Go to the school, right? And serve the meal and serve the food to the children, right? To celebrate that happy moment, right? So basically, this type of interventions or this type of innovations have been introduced by the government, right? So we can say, right, so like on the happy moments, right, in the family, right, we usually what we do, we serve the, right, we serve the sweets, right, we serve the sweets, namkeens, right, we serve the sweets, namkeens, right, we do feast, right, type of the feast it is there, right, we do feast, right. So the government said that, right, so go to the schools, right, and serve the sweets, namkeens, etc., to those children in the schools, right, so that will help, right, so you can say bring a variety into the this uh, mm, uh, variety into the food served under the midday meal scheme, right? And the community partnership will also be short, right? So that is also there, right? And apart from that, like in our right, so like uh, in our society, right, the families right used to make donations also, right, on certain occasions, right, make donations also on certain occasions, right. So like we can say there is a custom in our society, right, so that we can say, right, on the death of a person, right, on the death of a person, right, the families on the death of a person, right, we can say the families usually, right, the families usually, right, so give some, right, give some donation, okay, give some donations, right, at mandars, gurudwaras, etc., etc., right, mandars, gurudwaras, schools, etc., okay, mandars, gurudwaras, etc. So this is the custom of our society, right? In every society in India, the people do this, right? So the Gujarat government has tried to motivate the families that, right? So on such occasions, right, we can say if you want to make some donations, right? So you can, right, we can say donate the, right, cooking vessels for the purpose of the midday meal scheme, right? You can donate the utensils for the purpose of the midday meal scheme, right? You can donate the, we can say dinner sets for the purpose of the midday meal scheme, right? You can donate the glasses for the purpose of the midday meal scheme for drinking water, etc. Right? So we can say that this is, you can say, right. another another you can say right step in strengthening the midday meal scheme, right? And this is an important point which I'm telling you now, right? Because if in the examination such type of question is asked to you, that you can say, right, suggest measures to, right, or suggest a strategy to strengthen or popularizing the midday meal scheme program, right, under which the cooked meal is served to the children in the school, right? So such type this question can be asked to you, right? Because there are a number of problems in the midday meal scheme program. The first and the major problem, right, that is the corruption in the system, right? It has been noted in the past time that you can say in many schools the food is not served to the children, right? Because the teachers who are in charge there, right, so they used to appropriate the money, right, between themselves, right? So one is that. Grains changed means grains changed. I didn't get you properly. What do you want to say, Nishant? So please elaborate it. Okay. So now that was there, right? So in some states, right? So we can say in some cases it has also been noted, right, that you can say, yes, yes. It has also been noted that you can say fake admissions have been shown into the school records, right? So that more funds for the midday meal scheme may come to the school, and the teachers may appropriate those funds, right, among themselves. So you can say such type of problems are there, right? And you can say, right, so we can say substandard food is delivered sometimes to the children, right? The quality food, right, which is coming from the government side, so that is sold somewhere else, right? And that is replaced by the substandard food, right? Spoiled grains are there, right? So that is also there, right? So few day I think in the recent past, right, so I think 12 or 13 trucks of the food grains, right, so which were stolen by some you can say NGO, right, uh, from the godown of the FCI, right? So though, right, so we can say those have been caught by the you can say police there, right? And those were carried to, right, some place in Delhi, right, for the purpose of this midday meal scheme, right? So by stealing those from the FCA godowns, right? So we can say that such type of problems are there, right? So in the wake of those problems, right? So you can suggest that what type of strategy, right, should be, you can say, right, devised by the government to make the midday meal scheme, right, more you can say to make the midday meal scheme stronger, right, stronger, right, and more effective, we can say. So that's the point, right? So tithi bhojan can also be mentioned there, right? Such type of schemes can be introduced, right? Community participation can be a game changer in the midday meal scheme, right? And even, right, and even we can say the we can say, right, matlab the females from the rural households, right, so they can make, right, so they can make a group also, right, and they can you can say come to the schools, right, to cook the food for their own children, right? So that can also be done, right? Let's suppose there is only one school in a village, right? 5 or 6 women, right, may come to the school, right, and they may help cooking the food, right? And in and right, so by that purpose, number one, the quality of the food will be ensured. Number two, the cooking would be proper, right? Number three, the you can say serving of the food would be proper, right? And that will lead to the saving of the government funds also, right? Because the schools would not be required to hire the, right, we can say cooks or other assistants for the purpose of the midday meal scheme, right, for washing utensils, etc., etc., right? So we can say with the help of the community partnership, right, with the help of the community involvement into the midday meal scheme, a lot can be done, right? So so I suggest you to please uh, write, uh, you can say write at least 150 words on this, right? So what can be done to strengthen the midday meal scheme, right? To strengthen the midday meal scheme, right? So you should write at least 150 words on this, right? So how you will uh, plan your answer? First of all, you will write, you can say that midday meal scheme is a very popular and the world's largest, right? You can say scheme, right, under which the right uh, larger, yes, yes, I am coming to the point. Yes, I am coming to note the question, right? So first let me complete this topic, right? Tithi bhojan. So we can say tithi bhojan like schemes have been introduced by the various governments, right, in the different states, right? So like we can say, right, Assam government has introduced a program which is known as the right Sampriti Bhojan, right? Sampriti Bhojan introduced by the Assam government, right? And then that Himachal Pradesh government has introduced a similar program under the name of Dham, right? Similar program, right? And then Maharashtra, right? Maharashtra government, right, has introduced almost a similar program, right? So under the name of, we can say, right, Sneh Bhojan, right? Sneh Bhojan scheme that is introduced in Maharashtra, right? And then we can say, right, in Karnataka also, right, a similar scheme has been introduced, right, for the community participation into the midday meal scheme, right? So the name of the scheme is, right, we can say, right, Shaligagi, the Navu Nivu, okay, Navu Nivu. So that is introduced in Karnataka, okay, and then in Puducherry also, right, a similar scheme has been introduced, right? That is known as the right Anadhanam, Anadhanam, Dhanam, right? Anadhanam. That is the program which is introduced there, right? And similarly, in Punjab, right, a similar, you can say, community participation program has been introduced, right, which is known as the Preeti Bhoj, right? Preeti Bhoj, that is introduced in Punjab, and similarly in Rajasthan, right? A program has been introduced which is known as the, we can say, right, Utsav Bhoj, right? Utsav Bhoj. So these are the some interventions by the government, by the state governments, right? To, we can say, to enhance the community partnership into the midday meal scheme program, right? To enhance the community partnership into the midday meal scheme program, right? So I hope this point is clear to everybody, right? So if anybody has any doubt of anybody, right, or if anybody wants to say something on this, right, so you can please, right, so bring your whatever the doubt is there, right, you can please bring it before me, right? So these are the, we can say, certain programs which have been introduced there, right? But the next issue is that we can say, right, so despite, right, so despite we are running we are running a program, right, uh, for nutritional intervention, right, for nutritional intervention for the betterment of right, the health of for the betterment of the health of children of primary and upper primary level, right, and upper primary level, okay, upper primary level. But still, but still hunger prevails in India. But still hunger prevails in India. Right? We are having the world's largest number of right, we are having the world's largest number of underweight, right, underweight, right, waste and stunted children, right, underweight, waste and stunted children, right, underweight, waste and stunted children. So we are having the large number of such a type of children there, right, in our country, that is there, right, and and uh, moreover, right, the India's position, moreover, the position of India, we can say, the position of India according to the global hunger index of 2020, global hunger index of 2020 is okay, Ashka, you can leave. Global hunger index of 2020 is, right, that is, we can say that 94 out of the 107 countries, right? So India is at 94th position in terms of hunger out of the 107 countries. So this is despite the fact that we are running the world's largest, right? So we can say that food uh, nutritional support program for the school going children, right? So this is despite that, right? So now the next thing is, right, so in this we have
Sir,
used,
we can write a question on this as well. Ki why, despite we are running the world's biggest
yes,
food program,
yes,
still why India is stunted, having the largest number of the stunted children and wasted
yes,
children.
yes. So we can write, right? So this is a very big social issue basically, right? So now the, right, so basically there are, we can say, right, three three things which I told you earlier also, right? So one is, we can say, the age, right, age. Second is, we can say, the weight, weight, right, and the, we can say, right, third is, we can say, that is the sorry, right, and the third is, we can say, that is the height, right, third is the height, right, third is the height. Okay, so third is the height. So now what is there, we can take it here, right? So if the, when weight is not according to age, okay, the child is known as the underweight child, underweight child. Okay, this is important thing. And when the height is not according to weight, right, child is known as, height is not according to weight, okay, the child is known as a what, wasted child. Okay, and when the height is not according to age, when the height is not according to age, means short than the standard height of that age, right, shorter than the standard of height of that age, the child is called the stunted. Okay, so these are the three definition of the underweight child, wasted child, and the stunted child. These are the three definitions of this. Is it clear? Right? So please bear this in mind. These are the three, we can say, right, important points. Right? One is the age. Right? The second important point here is, that is, we can say, That is the, okay, so one is age, and the second point here is, that is, we can say the weight, right? And the third is height, right? Age, weight, height. So it is on this basis, right? So now the questions are there. Okay. Now the questions are there. One question is that, right? One question is that, despite the fact that India is running the world's largest, right? World's largest free lunch program. Okay. World's largest free lunch program for the school going children, right? For the school going children, right? It is having, it's having the world's largest population of, the world's largest number of stunted and wasted children, right? Stunted and wasted children, right? Okay. Why? So this is the first question. Despite the fact that India is running world's largest free lunch program for the school-going children, right? Uh, it is having the world's largest number of stunted and wasted children. Right? It is still having, it's better to write. It is still having the world's largest number of stunted and wasted children. Why? So this is the one point, right? So you should try to write according to your mind, right? So then I will tell you that what was required to be done in this question, right? Where you are lacking. I hope you will cooperate me.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Sir, 150 words. Yeah, 200.
Yes. 150 words, right? And the second program, second question, right? Which you need to write here is that, right? Which you need to write here is that, uh, right? The second answer, we can say, despite the fact that, despite the fact that India has enacted and implemented, India has enacted and implemented, right, a National Food Security Act, National Food Security Act, right, but still, but still, right, India's performance on global hunger index is very poor. Global hunger index is very poor. Is very poor. Why? What can be the reasons? Right? Why? And why? Right? What should be done to improve it? What can be done? Okay, to improve it. So this is also an important question. Okay, so you should try this also. Give me the promise. Will you do it or not?
Sure, sir, by tomorrow. और सर वो थर्ड वाला जो बोला था आपने कि
Yes,
सर
yes, yes,
what could
yes,
we do to strengthen?
yes. I'm coming to the point. The third question which you need to write is that, right? So suggest measures or strategy to strengthen India's, right, India's midday meals scheme. Right. So suggest measures or strategy to strengthen India's midday meal scheme. Right. So beta, as far as the first question is concerned, right? So first of all, for this question, you need to, or you need to collect the knowledge, you need to collect the information on the, number one is the free lunch program, which is there, right? And number two, the information about the stunted and wasted children in India? What is the proportion? What is the percentage? Right? Right? So, what is the total number of the wasted and stunted children throughout the world, and what percentage of those children is there lying in India? Right? So you should right. So work on those things, right, and then you can enter into the main body of the question. Yes, yes, little bit statistics if are given, that would be better, right? So similarly, in the second, first of all, you should mention about the global hunger index. What is the global hunger index? What is India's position, right? So what is considered while this right? So while we can say working on this global hunger index, right? So how the index is developed, you can say. So first of all, you should mention about that, right? Because only then you would be able to analyze the, we can say, things that you can say where we are lacking, right? So global hunger index is based on this, right? And we are lacking here, right? And the National Food Security Act we introduced, yes, in 2013, right? So according to the National Food Security Act, right? So we can say this and this is provided, right? But you can say what is the problem, that despite that we are still, you can say, right, have very, you can say, right, poor rank, right, in terms of this. So what is the reason? So you should mention that, right? So just measures or strategy to strengthen India's midday meal scheme. So first of all, midday meal scheme, about midday meal scheme you should mention, right? So second thing, you should mention that, right? So there are some problems in the midday meal scheme, right? So though the midday meal scheme has contributed a lot into the improvement in the nutritional standard among the children, right? Nutritional health of the children also, right? But still there are certain problems, right? These are the problems, right? So not only the problems, right? The positive also, you should right, present the positive aspect also, right? So then the next thing we need to mention about the shortcomings in very brief, right? And what should be done to make it more uh, right, to make it, we can say, stronger, right? So this will be the thing, right, which you need to mention here in this way. Okay, so these are the, yes. Conclusion should be quite optimistic, right? You need not to say that let this scheme be closed, right? Because it is the wastage of the funds, or like that, right? Because this is a very important intervention by the government to improve the nutritional health of the children, right? So that is why never in your answer mention that we should right, discard this scheme, we should withdraw this scheme, right? So never mention that, right? So like someday in the previous government of Punjab, the education minister of Punjab was saying that we don't need to, you can say, continue with the midday meal scheme program. So instead of giving us the food and food grains, right, the central government should give us the money so that we may utilize that money where it is required, right? So that was not a good approach, right? So, okay, but still, these are the three questions you should try to write. You can say, write the answers on these three questions in a very honest manner, right? So, in a very honest manner. So, that is, I think, your duty, and I hope you will do that also. Okay. So, this is the important thing.
Sir, in the question number one and the question number second, sir, when we are talking about that why the schemes have been failed in India, sir, मतलब certain reasons तो common होंगे ना sir, मतलब बहुत सारी schemes हैं
Obviously, certain
be
reasons would be common.
yeah, be it red tapeism, corruption, etc.
Yes. Obviously, certain reasons would be common, right? The reasons may be common, right? But the solutions will be different.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Okay. So this is what we discussed, what we have discussed so far about this. right? And and the next important program, right? So which the intervention by the government, so which have been used or which have been you can say introduced, which was introduced by the government, right? So that is we can say the Poshan Abhiyan, right? Poshan Abhiyan is also an important intervention by the government. So as far as the Poshan Abhiyan is concerned, right? So first of all, let us discuss about this Poshan Abhiyan, right? So Poshan Abhiyan is a program which is being run by the Ministry of Women and Child Development, right? Ministry of Women and Child Development, right? So this is the program which is run, Poshan Abhiyan, right? And the next thing is that the government of India launched the Poshan Abhiyan first time in 2018, right? So it was launched by the government of India in 2018, right? In 2018, the government of India launched it, right? So the purpose of the Abhiyan was to reduce the purpose of Abhiyan was to reduce the problem of it was to reduce the problem of we can say that stunting, wasting, undernutrition, right? Stunting, wasting, undernutrition, right? Undernutrition and anemia. Anemia, particularly among the young children, women, and the adolescent girls, right? Anemia, particularly among young children, women, and the adolescent girls. Okay, and the adolescent girls. So this is because in India there is very high prevalence of anemia among women, particularly, right? Women in their reproductive age. That is very important thing. And the second is young children and the adolescent girls as well, right? So most of the a very significant percentage of the women population or the adolescent girls, right? So they are anemic persons, right? So that is there, right? So as far as the target was there, right? So anemic children, and the next target was to reduce the right. Next target was to reduce the low birth weight children, right? Low birth weight, to reduce the percentage of low birth weight children, right? The percentage of we can say low birth weight children. So what were the targets there, right? Which were put there, which were introduced there, right? So under this scheme, what were the targets, right? So first target, I would like to say, right? So that was we can say, right? So reduce the right stunting, reduce the stunting, right? To 2%. Reduce the stunting, we can say, right, by 2%, sorry, by 2%, okay, 2%, that is there. And similarly, the next target was to reduce the underweight children, sorry, undernutrition among children, okay, to reduce the undernutrition among children by 2%, by 2%, right? And similarly, the next was there, right, to reduce the anemia cases, right? To reduce the anemia cases among women or adolescent girls, right? Or children, young children, that was by 3%. That was the aim of the government, right? And then the next was to reduce the percentage of low birth weight children, right? To reduce the percentage of low birth weight children. Okay, percentage of low birth weight children. That was to reduce it by 2%. Okay, that was to reduce it by 2%. So these were the targets under this POSHAN Abhiyan, right? So this is important, right? Okay, so the next thing is that so the next important thing is that right target the quantitative target, right, fixed under the POSHAN Abhiyan, fixed under the POSHAN Abhiyan, right, was to right, you can say bring down, was to bring down the, right, bring down the stunting among children, stunting among children in the age group of right, in the age group of 0 to 6, 0 to 6, right, from 38.4% to we can say 25% by 2022. So this is an important target, right? So you should be at this in mind. So, and moreover, from this you can have a look at the problem that see 38.4% of children between the age of 0 to 6 years, they are stunted children, right? So if 40% children are stunted, it means stunted means their height is not according to their age, right? So that means there is some problem, right? So nutritional intervention is required, right? And it should be implemented very seriously. The government should, right, do very serious efforts in this respect, because India has been blessed with the right world's largest, you can say, young population today, right? So you know, China is losing its demographic dividend to India today, right? And the population of China is, we can say, aging at a very fast rate as compared to that of India, right? So as on 2019, uh, right, end of the year 2019 means 31st March 2019, according to the yes, according to the uh, studies by the China only, right? So there was the gap of only 110 million population, right, in respect of the labor force between the China and the India, right? So the labor force as on 31st March 2019 in China, that was 990 million, and the labor force in India, that was 880 million. So there was gap of this only, and this gap is narrowing down day by day, right? And according to the Chinese studies, that it is expected that by 2035, right, by 2035, it means 2035, right? So India would be having more, you can say, right, labor force than the China is having today, right? So if India will be having the more labor force as compared to China, so it means then, right, and India's economy is also expanding at a right sufficient rate, right? So you can say, right, so our economic growth rate is also sufficient, because even the in the for this 2022, right, the projections, whatever the coming, whatever are coming from the International Monetary Fund, from World Bank, etc. Right, India may be the fastest growing economy in the world, right, by the year 2022. So if we are having the, you can say, right, the world's largest labor force, right, and we are having a sufficient economic growth rate, so then that means the future may be that of India, right? And China is, so you can say, serious on this labor force, or on the issue of the aging population in China, that in 1990, in 1979, right, China introduced one child policy, right, one child policy. According to the one child policy, what was there, that a couple may not be having, will not have more than one child, right, more than one offspring, we can say, right, more than one child. Okay, so that was there, right? So that was there. So, but seeing the decreasing population of China, right? Seeing the gap in terms of the labor force between India and China is being narrowed down, right, from the first of January 2016, right? So China withdrew its one child policy and replaced it with the two child policy, right? Two child policy. So it means today China has allowed the Chinese couples to have up to two children, right? So that the population growth rate may be increased because the labor force is declining. The number of labor force is declining in China, right? And India is going to overtake China, right, in this particular respect. And China don't want to lose this you can say status, right, of the country, because because the labor force is a very important factor, right? So that is why the China is, so we can say serious, right? And it means the so if, right, if our children in India are suffering from the suffering due to the lack of adequate nutrition, they are stunted, they are going waste, right? They are underweight, they are suffering from the malnutrition, right? Or right, we can say, uh, right? So they are born with the weight, right, below the standard weight which is required. So then that means India's human resources will go waste in future, and India would not be able to, right, you can say, cash the demographic dividend. So we will not be, uh, you can say, right, able to reap the benefit of the demographic dividend, because if the human resources are not quality resources. So that is why it is the responsibility of the government of India to take very, very quick and very serious and very strict action in this regard, that this this you can say problem of the these various, right, health problems among the children due to the reason of the poor nutrition, right, should be addressed at uh, you can say at priority basis, right? So because we should do all the possible to keep our children healthy, right? Because if our children are healthy, they are the future of our country, right? If the children are healthy, the India in future would be healthy. If our children today are not healthy, India in future would not be healthy. So that is why this is the responsibility of the government, right? This is the biggest responsibility of the government, to take very serious interventions, to plan various serious interventions into this, right? So therefore the government introduced this, we can say, Poshan Abhiyan, right, in the year 2018, and the target was this, which I have told, right, which I have mentioned here, you can say. Okay, so this is there, right? So now, as far as the portion abhiyan is concerned, right, so there are two three important things in the context of the portion abhiyan, if I would like to share with you, right, if I would share with you. The one thing is that lack of the nutrition, right, lack of adequate nutrition, malnutrition, whatever you can say, right? So prevalence of very high, you can say, the rate of anemia, prevalence of very high rate of stunting, wasting, or a low birth weight, etc., etc. So one reason is that, right? So because of the non-availability, or because of the non-affordability, because of the non-accessibility of the adequate nutrition, right? So that can be one issue, right? So this issue the government can tackle with the various interventions like providing the free meal, etc., right? Providing the free medical support, etc., to those, right? Uh, like institutional deliveries also, right? Proper right, asha workers have been employed there, right, to keep the track of the pregnant women, right, so that regular checkups of the pregnant women may be made, right, and their delivery in the and their institutional deliveries may be ensured, right. So the government is doing a lot from its end, right. But the next important point is that that is the behavioral aspect. Behavioral aspect means though the things are available, right? Though the things are available, government is intervening. Government is providing a lot many things free of cost, right? And things are accessible, right? But still, due to their behavioral patterns, right? Due to their behavioral setup, right? The people are not ready to avail those services. So behavioral aspect is another important point, right? So like I'm telling you that if I take the institutional delivery, right? Though the government is ensuring the free of cost institutional deliveries of the, right? So, but still many people, right, still don't want to go to the institutions, to hospitals, due to a number of right problems related with their mindset, right. So that's why such type of the behavioral patterns needs to be changed, right. So if we want to improve the this nutritional issues, and we want to tackle these problems of stunting, underweight, undernutrition, wasting, anemia, etc., etc. So behavioral patterns, that is also an important thing. Yes. Cash incentives are also provided, right? So that is there, right? Even even to promote the institutional deliveries, the government is also providing the cash incentives also, right? But still, the people don't like to go to the hospitals, right? Still, there are people, not all people, but there's some, right? So certain percentage of people are there like that. Okay, so that is basically there, right? So, under this Poshan Abhiyan, one important thing is that, right, so Swasth Bharat Preraks have been deployed. Swasth Bharat Prerak. Swasth Bharat Prerak means motivators, right, who will work at the ground level, right, and who will, you can say, motivate the people to avail the services, right? So Swasth Bharat Preraks, right? But as we have discussed in very much detail, right, in our, we can say, uh, lecture, right, I think 1 month ago, right, POSHAN 2.0 we discussed, right, the lecture is there on the YouTube also, right. So in this budget of 2021, right, the finance minister of India, right, has declared POSHAN 2.0, right, POSHAN 2.0. So as far as the POSHAN 2.0 is concerned, POSHAN 2.0 is also introduced by the Women and Child Development, which is responsible for the implementation of the POSHAN 2.0 program, right? So you can say, right, so according to the POSHAN 2.0 program, two programs have been merged into one. One is the supplementary nutrition program, right, under which the government gives cooked meals and take-home ration at the, we can say, Anganwadi, right? So that is known as the Supplementary Nutritional Program, SNP. So please bear this in mind that this program, which is known as the Supplementary Nutritional Program, right? So this Supplementary Nutrition Program is for the Anganwadi children only, right? Means children below 6 years of age. This is for those only, right? So this is not for the school going children who are between 6 to 14 years of age. For those, there is the midday meal scheme. And for this Anganwadi children, there is the supplementary nutrition program. Under this supplementary nutrition program, the Anganwadi children were provided cooked meal as well as the take home ration, right? So they were provided these two things, cooked meals and take home rations, right? And the second program, which is there, this portion here, right? So by merging these two, right, into one, we can say portion abhiyan, right? So by merging these two into one, right, so the government in its 2021 budget has launched a new program that is known as the POSHAN 2.0, right? POSHAN 2.0, right? So that is there, right? So and POSHAN 2.0 has been discussed in detail there, right? It has been discussed in detail there, right? So you can go there to know about this POSHAN 2.0, right? But yes, let me share with you 2 3 points here about the POSHAN 2.0, right? So one point is that the government is going to introduce a new software, right? The name of the software will be POSHAN Tracker, right? So please bear this in mind. The government is going to introduce a new software, that is the POSHAN Tracker, right? New software. The purpose of this new software is to streamline the supply side of the scheme. Supply side of the scheme means the whatever the ration, whatever the facilities, whatever the you can say whatever is provided by the government, right? So whether it is delivered to the beneficiaries, right, at the ground level or not. So POSHAN Tracker, that is there, right? So how the things are moving from the top to the bottom in the supply chain. So, right, so it is to track everything related with that, right? So that is there, right? So earlier for tracking, uh, right? So this you can say supply side or for supply side management. Earlier, the software which was there, that was the ICDS CAS, right? ICDS Integrated Child Development Service and CAS Common Application Software. So that was there earlier. Now the government is going to replace that ICDS CAS, right, with this POSHAN Tracker under the new POSHAN 2.0 scheme, right? So this is there, right? And the second thing is that in this POSHAN 2.0, the government is going to introduce the uh, alternative, uh, government is going to introduce the indigenous alternative medicine system, right, which is known as the Ayush, right? So POSHAN 2.0 will have Ayush as its part, right? So it's going to introduce here Ayush, right? Ayush. So what is Ayush? Ayurveda, yoga, naturopathy, right? Unani, Siddha, and the homeopathy. So government is going to introduce Ayush here also. Right, so indigenous alternative medicine system, Ayush, right? So would be a part of the POSHAN 2.0, right, which is known as the reinvented POSHAN, right, POSHAN 2.0, right? So please bear this in mind that POSHAN 2.0 is known as a reinvented POSHAN also, right? It is known as a reinvented POSHAN also, right? So that will be a, you can say, key part of, so Ayush will be a key part of the POSHAN 2.0. Here it is important to note, right? So that is there. Okay. So the next thing is that, right, so, uh, and we can say audit to be conducted by the food regulator. POSHAN 2.0. What is the another feature of the POSHAN 2.0? Right, an audit by the FSSAI, right, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, which is the food regulator in India, right? So under the POSHAN 2.0, right, so FSSAI audit will also be an important part of the new scheme, that is the reinvented POSHAN, which is known as the POSHAN 2.0, right? So that is there, right? So because there are nearly 12 lakh Anganwadi centers in the country, right? And at those Anganwadi centers, right, the cooked meal is served to the to the children there at the Anganwadi centers, and they are given the take-home food also, right? So it is important to audit the quality of the food which is provided through the Anganwadis to the children. So for that purpose, right, FSSAI audit, right, so has been introduced in the POSHAN 2.0 Abhiyan, right? So please bear this in mind, right? So these are the three important points in this, as far as the three important points, right? So I have told you that earlier the government introduced the POSHAN Abhiyan. POSHAN Abhiyan was introduced by the Ministry of Women and Child Development in 2018. The purpose of the POSHAN Abhiyan was to reduce the stunting by 2%, reduce the undernutrition among children by 2%, reduce the anemia among the young children, that women, right, adolescent girls by 3%, and to reduce the percentage of low birth weight children by 2%. So that was there, right? And the target fixed under the POSHAN Abhiyan was to bring down the stunting among children in the age group of 0 to 6 years from 30.4% to 25% by 2022. Right from this year, the government has introduced the POSHAN 2.0. The POSHAN 2.0 is known as the reinvented POSHAN also, right? So it is a combination of the two schemes, that is called the, one is the SNP, right? So what is the SNP? That is the Supplement Nutrition Program, right? It is for the Anganwadi centers, because at Anganwadi centers, the children are provided the cooked meal as well as the take home ration. There are approximately 12 lakh Anganwadi centers in the country, right? And second is the POSHAN, right? So by combining these two, right, a new reinvented POSHAN or POSHAN 2.0 has been introduced by the government in the budget 2.0, right? So that is there. And the next thing is the government is going to introduce the POSHAN tracker, a new software, right, for the supply side management of the POSHAN 2.0 program. And the next thing is the Ayush will be a key part of the POSHAN 2.0, right? And the next thing is that audit by the FSSAI, Food Standards and Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, FSSAI. Audit will be there, right? That is also a part of the POSHAN 2.0. There, as I have told you, there are 12 lakh Anganwadis, right, through which the food is served to the children, right? Cooked food as well as the take-home food. So that is why this is the intervention by the government, right? So under the reinvented POSHAN. So I hope today's lecture you have received well, right? So if there is any problem, you can uh, talk about that, right? You can ask about that, right? So even from this discussion, from this portion discussion, right? So you will get some clues for your questions which I have given to you today, right? To solve those questions, to write the answers of those questions, right? So if anybody wants to anything, you can please ask, right? So otherwise, I am going to take leave now, right? So, okay. So it's okay. Okay. Anything else? Nothing? Harshita, Aman, and all. Okay. So, okay, then should I take leave now? Can I take leave now? Hello. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Take care. We will meet tomorrow again. Okay. So please try to write the answers of those questions which I have given to you today, right? So it is not compulsory that you need to write your answers in English only. You can write your answers in Punjabi in Punjabi also, in Hindi also, in English also, or in any other language which right from the various languages mentioned in the Schedule 8 of the Constitution, right? Whatever the number of languages are there, right? But pardon, I would be able to read Hindi, right? I would be able to check only the answers written in Hindi, Punjabi, or English, right? So if you would prefer to write the answer in Kannada or in Tamil or in Telugu, right, or in Malayalam, right? So I would not be able to check those answers, please, right? Because language barrier is there, right? So, so please bear that in mind. Okay. So, okay then. Take care, right? So have a good day ahead. We will meet tomorrow again at the same time, right? So please take care. Okay. I think this time is okay at 5 o'clock.
Yes,
This time, yes, this time is okay now. Instead of the morning time, this time is okay, I think. Google Translate is there, but sometimes Google translation may not be accurate. Na? Okay, beta, take care then. Okay.